जय यशोदानन्दना जय ब्रजजन रञ्जन जय ब्रजजन रञ्जन। जय यशोदानन्दना जय ब्रजजन रञ्जन जय ब्रजजन रञ्जन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी जय यशोदानन्दना जय ब्रजजन रञ्जन जय ब्रजजन रञ्जन। जय यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरक से श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रीला भय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत गोस्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की इस्कॉन विविध संस्था भगाचार्य श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तरक से श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रीला भक्त सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथ पुरी धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की गंगा माई की जमुना माई की भक्ति देवी की कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदायिनी श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की श्रीला प्रभुपाद ट्रांसलेशनल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे ऑल ग्लोरीज टू assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories to assembled devotees all glories all glories all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshur-unmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Napkin. Hare Krishna. So I'm very honored to be with all of you this evening for the Prerana festival. on the topic conquering the Ravana within. Nastikyam anratam krodham pramadam dirghasutratam adarshanam jnanabatam alasya panchaha vrittitamam ekachintanam anantagyaischa mantranam nishchita namanarambham mantrasya parirakshanam mangalasya prayogam cha pratyutham cha sarvata kachid tvan varjayeta rajadosha chaturdasham. So these three verses are spoken by Lord Ram to Bharat in the 100th chapter of the Ayodhya Kand of the Valmiki Ramayana. This is known as the Kachit Sarga. And in this particular series of verses, Lord Ram is questioning Bharata that for anyone to be successful in life, personal life, professional life, leadership, relationships, one needs to overcome these 14 sins or faults. Self-mastery is all about perseverance in adversity, attention to detail, and to focus on that which is desirable. So all of us are struggling with various faults, sins, unwanted desires within our heart. And therefore, we need to overcome and conquer these. So this is an excellent series of verses where Lord Ram is questioning Bharata whether you are following these or not. So we will go through these 14 faults or sins which we need to conquer from within. First is Nastikyam, which basically means giving the material world as much importance as the spiritual world. Loosely translated, it is atheism. But the main idea is not giving importance to the presence of a divine will and thinking that my will is all pervading and all powerful. Nothing can conquer my will. So that is known as Nastikyam. Srila Prabhupada was informed by one of his disciples. Srila Prabhupada, the scientists have come up with a dog which has 2 heads. Prabhupada said, so what? Ravana had 10 heads. And he was a big dog, always hankering for others' property. So Nastikyam means not considering the divine will. And second is mantrasya aparirakshanam, which basically means revealing confidential information to others who do not have the credibility, the adhikar, the rights to hear that information. So these are the first 2 faults. Nastikyam, which is atheism or not respecting the divine will, and mantrasya aparirakshanam, revealing confidential information to others. So in the Ramayana, Dasharath Maharaj, after the marriage of Lord Ram, decides that he will retire and he will hand over the kingdom to Lord Ram. Dasharath Maharaj calls the entire kingdom in an assembly. And he makes an announcement, I am retiring. Ram will now become the crown prince. There is a thunderous applause. There is a huge sound. Dasharath is bewildered by hearing that sound. He calls one of his ministers and says, "What was that sound? Such a huge applause I have never heard before." The minister said, "I will only reveal if you promise me that you will not punish me." Dasharath said, "Why should I punish you? What was the cause of that applause? I will not punish you. Tell me." And the minister said, "My dear Dasharath Maharaj, you have ruled over Ayodhya for 60,000 years. You have taken thousands of decisions. But this decision you have taken to retire is the best decision so far." Dasharath gets bewildered. He looks at them and says, "You think I am so useless that everybody is celebrating my retirement?" The minister says, No, it is not your fault, Dasharath Maharaj. Your son Ram has such super excellent qualities. What can be done? He's an embodiment of divine qualities. And you know what? He's your son." Dasharath says, "Okay, yeah." So what the minister does is changes Dasharath's identity from being the king to being a father. And Dasharath Maharaj is pretty satisfied. So the news spreads that Ram is going to become the king. The whole Ayodhya is celebrating. One person is not happy, that is Manthara. So Manthara is actually an agent sent by the demigods only. Because the demigods have prayed to Lord Vishnu to appear so that Ravana can be killed. But Lord Ram gets married, and for 12 years he's enjoying marital life blissfully, joyfully in Ayodhya with Sita Devi. Whole of Ayodhya is serving Sita and Ram. Everybody is blissful, everybody is joyful. The joy continues to expand. The demigods are getting worried. Will Ram spend his entire life performing pastimes here only? Or will he go south also and kill Ravana? Has he forgotten his mission? So they are the ones who inspire Manthara so that this pastime of Lord Ram going to the forest can happen. Upasthita prayunjana tvai santam anarthakam arthena eka adya kaushalyam yojayishyati. So Manthara, she's in a very bad mood and approaches Kaikeyi and she says, "Alas, O Kaikeyi, the moon has been enveloped by Rahu." Kaikeyi said, "What happened? I have got 4 excellent sons who can take care of all kinds of situations and calamities." Manthara says, "That is your foolishness. You do not realize that King Dasharath is externally showing affection to you, but has bestowed a lot of mercy to the other queen Kaushalya. I don't even know that." Kaikeyi said, "What is the problem? What are you speaking about?" And Manthara said, "Don't you know that King Dasharath has announced Lord Ram to become the crown prince and the king?" Kaikeyi immediately jumps in joy and she says, "What an excellent news. This is the best news you could have given me. Lord Ram is close to me. In fact, he serves me more than even Bharat. I love Ram so much. I want to reward you." Manthara is very disturbed because this was not how she expected the conversation to go. So Manthara says, "My dear Kaikeyi, you don't realize that Dasharath is like a poisonous snake sitting on your chest, waiting to bite you and destroy you. Ram is an incompetent son of Kaushalya. Ram is the killer of the innocent Tataka. Ram is a shame on the Surya Vamsha. Ram will put the future of Kaikeyi and Bharat under question mark. Therefore, Kaikeyi, beware. Kaikeyi is still not convinced, and she continues to reward Manthara with jewels and necklaces for bringing the best news. Manthara now steps up her arguments and she says, "My dear Kaikeyi, you are like a person who is in the middle of a river on a boat and drilling a hole in that boat, wanting to capsize. My dear Kaikeyi, the two biggest disasters in life is to have a co-wife and a stepson, and you are ultimately going to be destroyed because of this." Kaikeyi says, "But Ram is absolutely filled with divine qualities. He's always humble, gentle, truthful, respectful. In fact, he believes in me more than even Kaushalya and serves me so wonderfully. I have no problem at all if he becomes the king." Manthara says, "My dear Kaikeyi, you have to save 3 people." Kaikeyi said, "Who are the 3 people?" Manthara says, "First you have to save yourself. Because as soon as Lord Ram becomes the king, Kaushalya will remember all the insults and injustices you have meted towards her in the past, and she will hit back and take revenge on you. Second, you have to save your son, because your son Bharat is so many years away from Ayodhya. He's lost his relationship with Dasharath and he has become like an outcast. Dasharath gives all his love and affection only to Ram. And third, you have to save your father, Ashwapati." Kaikeyi says, "My father? What is the connection?" Manthara says, "Don't you know that the biggest enemy of your father, Ashwapati, is Janak Maharaj? Janak Maharaj is not attacking right now because Dasharath is king. As soon as Dasharath steps down and Ram becomes the king, the first thing Janak will do is attack Ashwapati and consume him completely. And what to speak of, you will no longer be the queen, but you will become maid servant of Kaushalya." So the power of words is such that it can either inspire faith or destroy faith and sow seeds of doubt and dissent in someone's mind. And therefore, Manthara just did not understand the transcendence of the Supreme Lord Ram. And she considered this entire episode as something by which she can gain materially and Kaikeyi can gain materially. And she told Kaikeyi, "You ask for 2 boons. One, to make Bharat the king, and second, to send Ram to the forest for 14 years. And Kaikeyi is astonished. "How do you know that Dasharath Maharaj had told me about these 2 boons?" And Manthara said, "You had only told me confidentially many years ago. You forgot, I remember." So therefore, Nastikyam is to not consider the divine will, and Mantrasya aparilakshanam means revealing confidential information to someone who is unqualified and who may misuse this. Therefore, the difference between spiritual education and material education is primarily that spiritual education is focused on character, conscience, choices, more than competence and capability. It is focused on developing and honing and purifying your will more than working on your skill. And therefore, the combination of knowledge, logic, and faith. Tat shraddha dhana munayo jnana vairagya yuktaya pasyantyatmani chatmanam bhaktya shruta grihitaya. So Srila Jiva Goswami Pad says, to progress on the spiritual journey, you need two things. Number one, you need to be thoughtful. And number two, you need to be faithful. So the combination of thoughtfulness and faithfulness helps us in this journey. Otherwise, the modern education system is only focused on making you thoughtful. A logician who was all into logic, reason, a scholar. This logician scholar entered into a village. And he saw a farmer was going behind a bull. The bull was going round and round, and water was coming out from the well. So it was the village irrigation system. So the logician scholar looks at this farmer and said, why is the bull roaming round and round? The farmer says, I am taking water out from the well. The bull is moving around. When the bull moves around, it is connected to this gear and shaft system and brings the water out. Irrigation happens. The logician then said, why is the bull having bell around its neck? And I hear the sound ting, 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 ting. The farmer said, I cannot be always behind the bull. So when I'm away in the field, I hear the sound. I know that the bull is working. When the bull stops, the sound of the bell stops. I immediately come and push the bull. That's why this bell is there, okay? The logician scholar says, I knew you would not get it. The farmer said, what? The logician scholar says, if the bull stands at one place and shakes his head, still the sound will come ting, 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 ting. Didn't you get it? Didn't you think about it? That's why I'm here to advise you. The farmer said, he's a bull, not a logician scholar like you. He will not think like that. 1997-98, there was a whole congress on synthesis of science and religion. And I had gone there in Kolkata. So many scientists presenting presentations on how they approach spirituality through science. Very complex, quantum mechanics and this and that. And so the best part of that whole, for most ISKCON devotees, was the prasadam, because many of them could not figure out what was being discussed. And the most challenging session was the afternoon session post-lunch, 2 to 5, with the auditorium lights dimmed, complete darkness in the audience side, and the stage was lighted up, and I could hear snoring sounds from my both sides. After the afternoon session, I came out, And Radhanath Maharaj met me and he said, very heavy scientific jargon being used. But you are from IIT, so you must have understood what they were presenting. I said, yeah. I was understanding, but Maharaj, I was sleeping in between. Maharaj said, you are fortunate. I was waking up in between. So, when we present spirituality, people question, what is the basis of this? Is it scientific? Is it relatable? Is it this? Is it that? So many questions people ask. And in India, people have so many questions whether the Bhagavad Gita is valid or not valid or this or that. Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, went to London and one of the reporters asked him, Swamiji, what are you doing in London? Why you have come here? And Srila Prabhupada said, for 300 years, the British stole gold, emeralds, rubies, diamonds from India, but they forgot to steal the most precious jewel, Bhagavad Gita. I have come to do home delivery. And since last more than 56 years, ISKCON has distributed more than 550 million, 55 crore Bhagavad Gitas all over the world. In more than 80 languages, and now we have 1,100 ISKCON temples in 120 countries all over the world. One of Srila Prabhupada's disciples was in Germany. He was sharing. They had never heard of Tulsi, never seen a Tulsi tree. And Srila Prabhupada came to the temple in Germany and said, if your bhakti is going well, the symptom of that is Tulsi tree will grow very well. So after a few days, one Indian gentleman came. Somebody came and gave them a tree. And they thought it is Tulsi tree and they started watering it. It started growing like anything. And they were thinking, wow, our bhakti is going great. After a few days, another Indian gentleman came and said, this is not Tulsi tree, this is bamboo tree. With no previous background of Vedic culture, having never heard about Krishna and Arjuna or Bhagavad Gita, people from all over the world are accepting this process. Why are they accepting? Because pratyaksha agavam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. You can directly experience the effect and impact of practicing and following this process. So if people from all over the world can follow, why can't Indians follow? And therefore, with that understanding in 1993, His Holiness Radhanath Swami inspired us to start the ISKCON youth services, because the youth is at a ripe age where their habits are still being formed. And you can mold them the way you like based on the kind of character and the values they learn. And therefore, for the last 31 years, ISKCON Youth Services has been trying to serve the youth. And then Radheshyam Prabhu in Pune, and then Sundar Gopal Prabhu in Delhi, and many, many other youth preachers all across India. And I'm happy to share that today, all over India in the college campuses, 10,000 students are chanting 16 rounds. So therefore, it's very important for us to know that spirituality is not just for discussion, but it is for application. It is for application. So Nastikyam is atheism, or considering material world and spiritual world to be almost same and not finding value in the divine will. And second is to share confidential information with those who are unqualified, mantrascha parirakshanam. Third is krodham, which means showing anger at those who are worshipable or weak, like parents or gurus or those who are dependent, who need to be protected, who need to be respected. The wise need to be respected. The weak need to be protected. Instead of respecting and protecting, if one demonstrates anger, that is not appropriate. Therefore, in modern times, one big problem is that many people are talented, but not all talented people manage to get success. Why is that? There are 4 reasons. First, they try to please everybody. Secondly, they try to imitate others, what others are doing. Third, they try to chase status rather than purpose. And fourth, they try to play superhero by imitating, comparing, and try to do everything, not knowing that they cannot imitate. So therefore, when a person is talented, educated, ambitious, and then one is not able to achieve and accomplish their target, then they are often in a state of anger. And that anger can many times come out in very negative ways. And hence, one has to protect oneself from this anger and know that this anger should be directed at oneself for my own purification, for my own transformation, rather than trying to imitate someone else. And in today's social media age, comparison has become a big problem. Everybody tries to compare with somebody else and imitate, although they do not have the capability and the capacity to do so. So comparison is a thief of joy, and the youth especially are in great anxiety because however best they do something, someone is better than them. And people spend their whole day just watching what others are doing, rather than trying to focus on what I can do. I tell the story that somebody was giving a seminar on how to become a public speaker, expert public speaker. Nowadays, everybody wants to be public speaker. Everybody is doing podcast only. It is the podcast yuga. Right? So everybody is become guru. God knows who will become disciple. Everybody is becoming a coach, mentor, speaker, YouTuber, this, that, influencer. So this speaker was saying, if you attend my seminar, सुनो भाई वीडियो क्या ले रहे हो? It will be uploaded. If you attend this seminar, you will become an expert public speaker. So 500 people registered. Whether they can speak or not, that's a different thing. But his marketing was super. So people were sitting and he said, If you want to be an expert speaker, make sure the beginning of your speech is dhamakedar. It has to capture people's attention. And then he said, I'll give you an example how to begin your speech. You begin by saying, the best years of my life were spent in the arms of a woman who was not my wife. Everybody said, what's going on? This is a scam. And he said, and that woman was my mother. And they said, oh wow, kya baat hai. So one guy in the audience went to his village, called the whole village, I become public speaker. And everybody thought, oh, this guy, we thought he's a bhondu. How can he become public speaker? They all came out of curiosity. This guy stood on the podium, was nervous, standing on the mic, and he thought, let me use that same opening. It has to be dramatic. And he said, the best years of my life were spent in the arms of a woman who was not my wife. And then he was so nervous, he forgot the next line. And he was trying to remember, what was that punchline? What was that punchline? What was that punchline? And then he said, I can't remember who she was. So today, everybody is focused on trying to imitate somebody. It's not worth it. You do what you can do and be satisfied with that. And therefore Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita also that better to do one's own duty imperfectly than trying to do someone else's duty perfectly. And so when you do that, you will be satisfied and peaceful, and you will not be in a state of anger. Lakshman demonstrated how to use anger appropriately. When Sumantra left behind Sita, Ram and Lakshman, and he was going, he asked, any message for Dasharath Maharaj? Lord Ram said, please offer my obeisances. Sita Devi said, I have no message. Then Sumantra turns to Lakshman and said, what is your message? And Lakshman says, Aham tavat maharaje pitrutvam nopalakshaye bhrata bhartascha bandhuscha pitascha mama raghava. My dear Sumantra, you please go and inform Dasharath that from this day onwards, I do not consider him to be my father. For me, from this day onwards, Bhrata, brother, Bhartu, my master, Bandhu, my relative, Pita, my father, Bandhava, all my relatives, is all Lord Ram. And therefore, I do not want to maintain any relationship. I am demonstrating total detachment towards a person who has been offensive to every citizen of Ayodhya by crushing on their desires horribly. And therefore, I do not want any relationship with him. So, Lakshman demonstrates what Thakur Narottam Das says as Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jani. If there has been an insult or an injustice, then the anger can be demonstrated. But to show anger at those who are worshipable, respectable, and to be protected is not proper. When ISKCON in its initial days was going through its struggle, a lot of people were coming and saying it is brainwashing. And there was a court case in New York against ISKCON on brainwashing. And the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada, how should we fight this case? Prabhupada told the president, you only stand. And he said, but I'm not even trained how to argue. Prabhupada said, take my books and place it in the court. And on the first day, you speak from the first canto, first chapter, first verse. Describe in detail. Second day, speak the second verse. Third day, speak the third verse. Fourth day, speak the fourth verse. Convert the court case into Bhagavatam class. So after 1 week, the judge asked, how much more evidence you have? And the devotee said, well, we have 18,000 verses. The judge realized this is serious. He called one of his friends who was a Harvard divinity professor and said, hey, what do you think about A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada's books and this Hare Krishna and everything? Is it a cult? Is it bona fide? And that professor said, I received this copy from the library party, from the BBT. They are excellent books, totally authentic, and it's bona fide religion. The judge, within no time, gave the verdict that I have heard enough from all sides. The Hare Krishna is not a cult, it's a bona fide religion. So someone asked Srila Prabhupada very angrily, Swamiji, if everyone takes to this process and everyone becomes Hare Krishna, what will happen? Prabhupada said, don't worry, there will always be people like you who will never take. So therefore, we need to realize that Krodham can be a gateway to hell, and we have to overcome Krodha. This is the third. Fourth is Nishchitanam Arambham, Nishchitanam Anarambham, which means not executing decisions which have been made. And fifth is Mangaladi Prayogam, Mangaladi Aprayogam, which means wasting the time in various useless arguments. Wasting the time in useless arguments and not executing the decisions made, this is another big challenge. It's an anartha. It's a fault. It's a deep-rooted cause of all kinds of difficulties and challenges in life. So, today we are living in a world of instability and volatility. And we need the most important ability of agility, the ability to respond. Research has shown that the 4 major problems the youth is facing today is first is fear of missing out, which is called FOMO. Second is stress. Third is distraction. Distraction. You are spending a record 2 hours without touching your phone, listening to me. Right? And then after some time, you may start thinking, oh, I'm missing something. So nowadays, upavas, fasting, is not fasting from food and water. Fasting from phone for 24 hours. Separation, if you want to experience. If your phone is misplaced, how you will feel separation. And the fourth is relationships. Another big problem, relationships. When I started making Instagram reels, I started in 2022. I didn't even know what is reels before. So they said we should start Instagram. I said, why? He said, the youth is there. So your youth is there. So I said, okay, so how many minutes it should be? They said 30 seconds, 40 seconds. I said, what? You have to give message in 30, 40 seconds. I said, in my lecture, it takes me half an hour to give a introduction. No. So, Zavana gaya. 30 seconds, 40 seconds. And I said, what should I speak on? Relationships. And after a month, I said, okay, what now I should speak on? Relationships. Arey Baba, is there anything beyond relationship? So relationship is another big problem people are facing because of this high distraction level. So in that context, Bharat Maharaj is a great example. When Lakshman and Ram and Sita came to the forest, they were received by Guha, and Guha offered them a nice straw mat. Sita and Ram slept immediately. Lakshman stood with sword in his hand and started circumambulating Sita and Ram at night. Guha looked at Lakshman and said, Sita and Ram are sleeping. Why don't you go to sleep? Lakshman said, Goddess of fortune is on the ground. How can I go to sleep? Only when both of them come back to Ayodhya, I will sleep. Till then I have taken a vow, I will never sleep. I will guard them, protect them from attacks. And Lakshman continued circumambulating Sita and Ram with sword in his hand. Guha thought, Lakshman seems to be Bharat's agent, who's waiting for the opportunity to kill Sita and Ram at night. Who told him? Nobody. He imagined. So Guha took arrow and pointed towards Lakshman and started circumambulating from behind the bushes so that Lakshman could not see, but Guha could see Lakshman. So Sita and Ram sleeping, Lakshman circumambulating with sword in hand, and Guha circumambulating with arrow pointed to Lakshman. Guha's soldiers saw Guha. And one soldier asked another, what is our king doing? And the other soldier said, looks like he is not satisfied being king of the forest. He wants to kill Ram and become king of Ayodhya. And another soldier said, we will never allow this. He may be our king, but if he is doing this against Ram, we will kill him. We have to protect Ram. We are Ram Bhaktas. Jai Sri Ram. So now, there was a whole group of soldiers of Guha with arrows on their bows, behind the bushes, circumambulating, pointing the arrow towards Guha. And each one inspiring the other one, be alert. Guha can shoot the arrow anytime at Ram. Guha is pointing to Lakshman. They are thinking it is Ram. So it is a whole spiral of misunderstanding. So Lakshman is circumambulating, Guha is circumambulating, and Guha's soldiers are circumambulating, all in total anxiety. The only two people sleeping peacefully, Sita and Ram. So therefore, many times we are put in a situation where there is circumstantial misunderstanding. And we waste time in arguments. And because of lack of faith, we are not able to execute the decisions made, which is known as Nishchitanam Anarambham and Mangaladi Aprayogam. And so Bharat Maharaj, he experienced 6 tests when he came back from his uncle's place. The first test was he confronted criticism. Tremendous amount of criticism. What was that criticism? Kaushalya criticized, Vasishta Rishi criticized, Guha criticized, Bharadwaj criticized. You are a co-conspirator. And you are also responsible for sending Ram to the forest. In fact, Vasishta did not allow Bharat to give fire to the last rites. And he said, Dasharath Maharaj, while dying, he said, never allow Bharat to touch my body because he's a criminal. And Bharat had to spend his whole life with the understanding that my father departed thinking that I am a criminal. And there is no way he can actually explain the actual situation. That's called bhara, heavy weight of misunderstanding. When someone intimate with us, close to us, misunderstands and breaks the relationship, it's a heavy weight of misunderstanding. Therefore, bhara vahi iti bharata. That's what Bharat is. One who could carry that heavy weight of misunderstanding and still continue to serve Lord Ram. Therefore, as against the Western secular model of leadership, the Vedic leadership is centered around three principles. First is sakshatkar, which is self-realization. And then is achar and prachar, where you actually interact with all the stakeholders. And then comes paropkar. So there is self-realization, service, and then sacrifice. And so Bharat Maharaj, his bhava, his raga and tala was completely in alignment with serving Lord Ram. So all of these criticisms he was able to tolerate. Why? Because he understood that the mood and the mission of Lord Ram is to establish dharma. Lord Ram wants to demonstrate the principle of obedience, and therefore he has humbly gone to the forest. So he heard all of those criticisms without responding. The second test was Bharat had to confront his subconscious desires. Vasishta, when he looks at Bharata, he says, Bharata, do you know who is pitiable in this world? A Brahman who does not have Vedic knowledge, a Kshatriya who does not love people more than his life, a Vaishya who is miserly, a Shudra who is resentful, arrogant, and disrespectful, a disciple who is disobedient and breaks the vows, a renunciant who loves to live in luxury, a householder who is in ignorance. But amongst all of them, the most pitiable is citizens and people without a bona fide trustworthy leader. And today, Ayodhya is in that situation. Therefore, you, O Bharat, please become the king. And when Bharat Maharaj heard this, it was the lure of power. He had to confront the subconscious desires and make sure that he does not succumb to it. And so, the Raja Dharma is based on the 10 principles of righteousness and integrity. Second is welfare for all. Third is impartiality in justice. Fourth is protection and security. Fifth is economic stability and growth. Sixth is preservation of culture and religion. Seventh is to consult and counsel. Eighth is environmental stewardship. Ninth is to have social harmony. And 10th is to have impeccable personal conduct, which is extremely crucial. Sadachar. And therefore, Bharat was demonstrating all the principles of Raja Dharma and willing to overcome all of his subconscious desires. And Bharat immediately thought of 5 reasons why he cannot be the king. First, he said, without Ram, all possessions, including kingdom, is useless. Second, I belong to Ram, kingdom also belongs to Ram. Both of us are property of Ram. How can one property rule another? Not possible. Third, Ram is by far superior in virtues, in values, in learning, in self-control, in administrative prowess, in his kindness. Fourth, Puru, on the instruction of Maharaja Yati, may have sacrificed his youth for his father, but my mother has sacrificed my own father Dasharath. And fifth, my mother has acted adharmically, and therefore the throne is tainted with the blood of the death of my father. Like that. अंदर थोड़ा बातचीत हो रहा है. So the test 3 is, apart from confronting criticism and subconscious desires, is confronting confusing choices. When we have confusing choices to accept or reject, so Bharat is thinking, Vasishtha is telling me to become the king. Okay, even if I don't want to be, but by rejecting the proposal of Vasishtha, am I doing the right thing? Should I accept? Should I reject? It's a dilemma. Confusing choices. Fourth is Bharat had to confront praise and blame. Right? So sometimes if we think, if I am praised, I must be right. If I am blamed, I must be wrong. And if my conception of right and wrong is based on praise and blame, I'll be forever confused. Fifth is when he met Bharadwaj Rishi, Bharat Maharaj, he took second opinion of Bharadwaj Rishi. What do you think? I am going to invite Lord Ram back and become the king. Is that proper? That's called confronting accountability. Sometimes we may fear asking a superior, afraid that my proposal may be rejected, my plans may be overruled. And the sixth test was, Bharadwaj Rishi has organized an entire feast for the entire kingdom and the armies which were approaching Lord Ram in Chitrakoot with Bharat. And Bharat would not take any part in all of those because he was confronted with irresistible temptations. He wanted to control himself fully. And therefore, these are the 6 tests which Bharat experienced, and he overcame that without wasting time in arguments and fully active to execute the decision which has been made by him of bringing Ram back. And therefore, today's education system is focused on success, Vijay, Vijay, Vijay. But the Vijay can only be established on the foundation of 3 other principles. First is Vivek, discrimination. Second is Vairagya, renunciation. And the third is Vinay, humility. Without Vivek, Vairagya and Vinay, one cannot have Vijay over one's own inner self. And without that, what will we do? And therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he recommended that we spend our time studying the books, the Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, and spreading the message based on which we will get the right kind of discrimination. And therefore, Parikshit Maharaj says in the first canto, in the second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that this Srimad Bhagavatam has to be studied with Shraddha. Right? And when you study with Shraddha and on a daily basis, then gradually the Srimad Bhagavatam has an effect on you. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Agyascha ashraddadhanascha samshrayatma vinashyati nayam lokosti na paro na sukham samshrayatmana. If you are constantly doubting, constantly questioning, constantly skeptical, you will not be able to even study one page, and no transformation can happen. You will simply waste time in arguments. You will never be able to execute any spiritual discipline or professional discipline in your life. Srila Prabhupada was on a morning walk. He asked, why is Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead? One devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada said, I can argue that Gita is only a book. Another devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, because you say so. Prabhupada said, someone can say, oh, he's an old man, says so many things. And they did not have any more arguments. They said, Srila Prabhupada, what is the answer? Prabhupada said, when you chant Hare Krishna, when you chant Krishna's name, you experience transformation. That's the real proof. Then you understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. 3 years later, Prabhupada was on another morning walk. This was in America. And Prabhupada again asked the question, why is Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead? One devotee who was in that previous walk was there. He thought, I know the answer. Nobody else will know that answer. He immediately said, Srila Prabhupada, when we chant the holy names, we experience transformation. Then we know Krishna is the Supreme. Prabhupada said, no, because Gita says so. So therefore, our lives have to be centered around Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. One of the students I was preaching to in a college, a medical college, was always preaching day and night. I would tell him, Baba, study also. Exams are coming. You have to become doctor. The future of patients is in your hands. He would say, Arey Prabhu, I am going to pass. I said, I don't see you studying only. How you are so confident? He said, because I hear your lectures. And you have said, Name Bhakta Pranashyati from the Bhagavad Gita. Success is guaranteed. He said, my God, now you are putting on me. One day before exam, he was standing in front of Radha Gopinath and praying for half an hour. I got worried. I asked him, what were you praying? He said, oh, Prabhu, whole campus knows I am Hare Krishna man. I am preaching Hare Krishna. So I was praying to Radha Gopinath, my dear Lord, the future of Hare Krishna movement in the campus is in your hands. I said, wow, you're negotiating. He wrote the exam. 3 months later, the results came. He passed. The day the results came, I went to the campus for giving lecture. Usually for my program, 8-9 people would come. For my lecture, 40-50 for prasad. That was the regular average. Some students will also open the door of the room in the middle of the lecture, look at me and said, Arey, khatam nahi hua kya? They would be angry with me that I am becoming barrier between them and prasad. So anyway, that day, when the result came, that day when I went, 40 to 50 students were sitting for my lecture. I checked again, is it the same room or have they come for my lecture or what? And I asked, how all of you have come? And one of the guys said, quoting that student's name who passed, that guy, we never saw him studying. He was always preaching Bhagavad Gita, always saying, chant Hare Krishna, 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 Krishna all the time. We never expected that he will pass. And he has passed with flying colors, which means Krishna has to be Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I told this devotee, he got admission in post-graduation also. I said, Baba, in undergrad you gave a lot of pressure to Krishna. At least in PG, you put some efforts yourself. So he put a lot of efforts in the PG and he got the university gold medal. So therefore, we need to have faith in the scripture, in the process, and execute without wasting time. Then the sixth fault is over-attachment to sensory indulgences, which is panchaha vrittitamam, and which the example is given of Shurpanakha. She looks at Ram and is bewildered by Ram's beauty, approaches Ram and proposes to Ram, I want to marry you. Ram looks at Shurpanakha and says, I'm already married. Sita is my wife. Do you want to be co-wife? No, not good. You look at my brother Lakshman, he's eligible. He's come alone to the forest. You approach him. Shurpanakha runs to Lakshman. I want to marry you. You're the most eligible person. Lakshman says, hey, what do you want to be? Second wife of a master or the wife of a servant? Which is better? Think about it. Shurpanakha said, better to be second wife of master. Again she ran to Ram. And then Ram again sent her back to Lakshman. And finally she realized these two brothers are playing with me. So she became very angry on Sita and wanted to attack her. That time Lord Ram looks at Lakshman and says, I think enough. Time for surgery. So Lakshman takes his sword and cuts off Shurpanakha's nose and takes that nose and throws it across Godavari on the other side. And where Shurpanakha's Nasika felt, that place became Nasik. So Shurpanakha, she was bleeding, she was crying, and she called her two brothers Khara and Dushan. And they came with 14,000 soldiers to attack Ram. So what had happened some time back was Sita in the forest had made a comment on Ram. My dear Lord, I see you're always carrying bow and arrow. You never use it. Is it ornament? Is it decoration? You plan to do something about it? Ram, Kshatriya, he became a little upset, angry from within. But he knew that not every comment needs to be responded immediately. So he kept it in mind. So when this incident happened, when Khara and Dushan came with 14,000 soldiers, Lakshman saw them and said, my dear Lord, Ram, you please, along with Sita, go into the cave. Let me fight with them. Ram said, no. Lakshman, you go in. You protect Sita inside the cave. I will fight. Lakshman said, my dear Lord, these demons are not up to your standard. I can deal with them. Don't worry. Ram said, Lakshman, you go in. Lakshman said, my dear Lord, please, why you're taking so much of anxiety? I'll handle them. Ram said, Lakshman, it is my family matter. I cannot explain details. Go in. Lakshman goes inside. Ram fights the 14,000 soldiers, and Ramayana describes in 1 hour he kills all the 14,000 soldiers without a bead of perspiration on his forehead. And when this happens, Lord Ram is standing there victorious with his bow and arrow. Sita comes out, clapping her hand, and throws a garland around Ram's neck and says, my dear Lord, I saw you showing such chivalry, such bravery. I'm glad that my father was not here to see you showing such action and such drama. Because if he saw you showing such power, he would have married my other sisters also to you. So, Shurpanakha represents attachment to sensory indulgence. So the Gita describes that if you want a good, stable family life, there are 7 sutras. First, is there has to be commitment for life between members of the family. Second, one has to have respect for elders. Third is one has to have the proper space and time for worship at home. Fourth is we should always know relationships means give and take. We should be willing to give and forgive. Then we should know that any proper dharmic house is centered around pure food, which is offered to the Lord. And that's what Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya says. Oiche anna je Krishna ke koraye bhojan, janme janme shire dharu tahar charan. If anyone offers to the Lord, then that purified, sanctified food is so powerful. Lord Chaitanya says, I take the dust of the feet of such devotees on my head. Then, sixth is a proper grihasthashram is centered around hospitality. Atiti devo bhava. And seventh is there has to be zero tolerance towards unnecessary quarrel and arguments. And therefore, when we live life based on these principles, then the house becomes an ashram and it becomes a grihastha ashram. The seventh fault to overcome is pramadam, which is carelessness. So, Surpanaka goes and agitates Ravana and says to him, you think you are the king of this, universe? You are sitting here completely intoxicated with alcohol, thinking that you're all powerful. Arey, Ram is thousands of times more powerful than you. He killed everybody, including Karan, Dushan, all the 14,000 soldiers. What you're doing here? And you have never heard about Sita, never seen her beauty. And she goes on to describe Sita's beauty in such detail. Ravana becomes enchanted. Ravana was sitting peacefully in Lanka. Who agitated Ravana? Shurpanaka.com. Sound vibration. So, sound vibration can agitate and sound vibration can also appease and pacify you. Depends on what sound vibration you connect with. Surpanaka was solely responsible for this entire agitation of Ravana. Because he never heard. She is the one who described in great detail. And at that time, Ravana immediately goes and approaches Marich and says, Marich, important mission. Take the form of golden deer, attract Sita, so that Ram will start chasing you to catch hold of you. At that time, I will come and kidnap Sita. Marich looks at Ravana and is thinking, 10 heads, no brain. What is going on here? And Marich tells Ravana, Prosida Lankeshwara Rakshasendra Lankam Prayacha Bhavasadu Gacha Tvamasveshu Dareshu Ramasvanityam Rama Sabharyam Ramatam Vaneshu. My dear Ravan, do you want to keep your 10 heads intact? Do you want to keep your hands and legs intact? If yes, I have a suggestion. Proceed, be happy. Lankam prayacha. Go back to Lanka. Bhavasadu gacha, with all your limbs intact. And tvam sveshu dareshu ramasva. enjoy with your wives. Rama sabharyam ramatam, let Ram enjoy with his wife. How do you like the idea? Ravana said, rascal, I did not come here to get your advice. I have come here to give you order. Either you follow this or I'll kill you. And Marich was telling, Hare, don't you know the power? I have experienced the power of Ram's arrow. When he was only 12 years old, when we tried to disturb their yajna, Ram was not even full graduate. He was in internship under Vishwamitra Muni. That arrow he shot when we tried to disturb Vishwamitra Muni's yajna, it threw me into the ocean 800 miles. I still remember that pain. And one more time, with another demon friend, we approached. And Ram turned around. As soon as he turned around, I knew what was coming. I ran away. But my other demon friend did not know. He went ahead. He was killed. But then the sound of Ram's arrow going past my ears, it created such tremor that I came and retired in the forest. I wear only bark of tree. And out of fear, wherever I see only Ram's face. I'm in trauma. Anyone speaks any word beginning with Ra. If they say Rath, I think Ram. They say Ra, but I hear Ram. So therefore, he says, Brikshe brikshe chapashyami chira krishna janambaram gruhita dhanusham ramam pasha hastamantakam. I only see Ram with bow and arrow pointing at me. Ravan said, hey Marich, stop giving your lecture. I am interested that you follow what I am saying. Otherwise I kill you. So Marich thought, which is better? To be killed by Ram or to be killed by Ravana? He thought, let me get killed by Ram only. And so that is the decision he made, although he was repeatedly warned. When one is warned about the consequence of something, still they do not accept and they do not understand. That is called carelessness or pramadam. And therefore, Ravana demonstrated that carelessness. Sita also was careless. And she told Ram, I want that golden deer. So the Acharyas explained that Sita is not only Lakshmi Devi, but if Sita is considered to represent the soul, the moment the soul is distracted from Lord Ram's seva, mind in the form of Ravana with 5 karmendriyas and 5 jnanendriyas comes and captures the soul and puts the soul in the body of Lanka and then in the middle of Bhavasagar. And at that time, the soul is desperate and cannot do anything to escape from that situation. And hence, any degree of carelessness and distraction is the beginning of being trapped in this material world. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he gave us his books, the Gita, the Bhagavatam, so that we can study those and understand how Maya works, how to protect oneself from Maya, to be absorbed and not be distracted. Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is called Bhagavad Gita as it is. It does not mean that you keep it in your home as it is. You open it. I was staying at somebody's house. They said, give a Bhagavatam lecture. I said, okay, bring 6th canto. And they started opening the whole Bhagavatam set plastic cover in front of me. I said, how many years this Bhagavatam is with you? And they said, yeah, we don't remember. Since many, you never opened. They said, we were waiting for you only. So, the books are the basis, Srila Prabhupada said. And you are all at the peak of youth. This is the time you can become massively distracted or you can become completely absorbed, depending on how you take to this process. Pramadam is carelessness. 8th is anritam, dishonesty. Ravana takes the form of a mendicant, a sadhu, and comes to beg from Sita. How does that happen? When Ram goes behind that deer, Lakshman is saying, don't go, my dear Lord, don't go, this is a demon. Ram says, the universe has many mysteries and so many different species may be there, who knows, let me go. So the Acharya say, why Ram left Sita behind? Because he could never kill Marich in front of Sita, because Sita is compassion personified. Second, the moment we choose something cheap over the Lord allows us to fulfill our desire and he leaves us. And therefore, Lord Ram told Lakshman, you protect Sita. But then Lakshman, when he heard Lord Ram's voice, hey Lakshman, he Sita, Sita said, you must go, you must go. Lakshman said, this is demon, Baba. I recognize them. Not worth going. Sita said, no, you must go. Ram has never cried out like this before. Lakshman said, relax. Relax. Nothing will happen to Ram. Nobody can touch. He is Ram. Sita looked at Lakshman and said, I know why you came to the forest. You want to enjoy with me. And Lakshman said, my God, what did she say? She accused Lakshman like this on her character. Lakshman goes, and when Ram sees, Ram chastises, why did you come? Why did you leave Sita behind? And Lakshman is thinking, oh, what is this? Sita is chastising me for character. Ram is chastising me for competence. If one's character and competence both are questioned, what else remains? Lakshman could have just resigned and said, you handle now. I am going back to Ayodhya. Let us make a schedule. Other people can come and serve you, but not me. But Lakshman continued. But in the meantime, what was happening was Ravana came, and when Ravana came, he came disguised as a mendicant. And that is dishonesty or anritam. Sita asks, thinking it's a sadhu, who are you? Where are you come from? And Ravana said, I am the supreme controller. All the demigods are like my doormats. I control over them. The women are desperate to enjoy with me. Sita looks at Ravana, what kind of sadhu is this? And she says, are you a sadhu? What kind of demoniac qualities are you demonstrating? Who are you? And then he says, I am Ravana. I am the all-conquering, powerful demon. Sita says, oh, Ravana, that person was defeated by Kartavir Arjuna. This was one defeat which was very, very painful to Ravana. And Sita pointed to that only. And Ravana became very upset. And he started thinking, she's insulting me. What does she think? I'm going to teach her a lesson. And then at that point, Ravana immediately grabs Sita and tries to accost her and kidnap her. And Sita says, oh Ravana, you are like a lion. You are like a jackal trying to touch the property of lion like Ram. You're trying to kidnap me. It is like extracting the teeth of a lion or removing the fangs of a serpent. Oh Ravana, you're trying to kidnap me. It is like trying to take out dirt with a needle from your eyes. O Ravana, you're trying to kidnap, you're trying to cross an ocean with a stone tied around your neck. Ravana, you're trying to kidnap, you're carrying burning fire in your cloth. If you think you are strong, O Ravana, as you claim to be, you should be confronting Ram directly, not that sending Ram away with mischief and then trying to show your power in front of me. What kind of bravery is this? You're like a dog. So Sita gives the peace of her mind. And Ravana, he says, actually, this is not deceit, it is my strategy. And Ravana at that point, he kidnaps Sita in total dishonesty or anritam. And therefore we have to always be careful not to succumb to dishonesty, untruthfulness, and cheating propensity. Ninth principle is Eka Chintanam, which is autocracy in decision making. And we have the example of Vali, who would not listen to anybody and put Sugriva completely in a helpless state. And so Ram killed Vali from behind because the mind is like Vali with tendencies for mental pleasures. And Sugriva represents intelligence, which needs to control the mind. Wisdom needs to control the impulses. And therefore Lord Ram strikes Vali from the tree of samsara. The mind is always eager to confront and challenge the Supreme Lord. Why Vali could not become Ram's ally? Because Vali had also kidnapped Sugriva's wife. So Ram would not allow double standards. If he is fighting Ravana for kidnapping Sita, then he has to fight Vali also. Second, Vali wanted to directly kill Ravana himself and wanted to take credit for killing Ravana without being an ally and assistant to Lord Ram. And therefore he had that pride. And therefore he would not listen to anybody. So Vali represents this autocracy in decision making, Eka Chintanam, which is very, very deadly. Because many times we may not learn from the great souls. Prabhupada's servant was in a morning walk and a dog started chasing this servant. And the servant started running towards Prabhupada and said, "Save me, save me." Prabhupada turned around, looked at the dog running. Prabhupada stood with his cane above his head, crouched a little bit, looked at the dog in his eyes and shouted, "Hut!" And the American dog had never heard hut before. So the dog sat with tail under the legs. And the American disciples were very impressed that Prabhupada can control dog also. Jai Shri Radha Gopinath ji ki. 2 years later, this servant was in Jaipur making rotis for Prabhupada. A monkey entered through the window. He thought, "I know the technique." He took the balan in his hand, pointed towards the monkey and said, "Hut!" The monkey took a big pot and hit him back. He came running to Prabhupada and he said, "I tried the same technique, it didn't work." Prabhupada said, "You saw, but you did not learn." So many times we may see something, but we will not learn it unless we have the grace of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastras. Therefore, we have always got to be open to hear from others and transform ourselves. Eka Chintana means autocracy, my way or the highway. So in a brittle, anxious, non-linear, incomplete world, we have to really do 3 things to be successful. First, you have to accept the reality of who you are, what your strengths and weaknesses are. accept the reality. Second, you have to be open to collaborate with humility. I may not have all the skill sets. I need to collaborate. And third, in spite of that collaboration, there may be so many ups and downs. You have to operate with equanimity. Be sthita pragya. Because there may be prosperity and adversity. The 10th quality which we have to look at or overcome is procrastination, dirgha sutratam. And 11th is alasya, which is neglecting duties over indulgence in intoxication. And the example is Sugriva. Sugriva gave a promise, I'll be with you, my dear Lord, with all my armies. And the 4 months of Chaturmas passed by. Lord Ram is waiting in Malyavanta Parvat. Sugriva is nowhere to be seen. Ram looks at Lakshman and says, Lakshman, go and give this message to Sugriva. Yena sankuchita panta yena vali hatogata samaye tishta Sugriva mavali hatamanvagaha. You go and give this warning to Sugriva that if it does not come immediately, I'm going to kill him. Lakshman says, why warn? I will go and kill him only. Ram says, no, just give message. So Lakshman goes and gives the warning to Sugriva. Sugriva comes running because Sugriva was deep in pleasures, engaged in sex pleasure, engaged in intoxication, completely drunken state. When Lakshman woke him up from the stupor, he came running and apologized to Lord Ram that, my dear Lord, I have indulged in procrastination, postponed the plans, dirgha sutratam, and because of alasya, intoxication and indulgences, I have forgotten the seva. Lord Ram does not take away Sugriva's seva. He accepts that Sugriva has deviated, but allows him to correct himself and says, can you rally the army? Sugriva says, yes. Ram says, what will be the size of your army? Sugriva says, before I describe the size of the army, I have to explain the mathematical system, the numerical system. And he says, 10,000 crore is one shankhu. 1 lakh shankhu is one mahashankhu. 1 lakh mahashankhu is one vrinda. 1 lakh vrinda is one mahavrinda. 1 mahavrinda, 1 lakh mahavrinda is one padma. 1 lakh padma is one mahapadma. 1 lakh mahapadma is one kharva. 1 lakh kharva is one mahakharva. 1 lakh mahakharva is one samudra. 1 lakh samudra is one ogha. 1 lakh ogha is one maha-ogha. So having explained the system, then he says, the size of the army I am planning for you, my dear Lord, is 10,000 crore shankhu, 1,000 mahashankhu, 100 vrinda, 1,000 mahavrinda, 100 padma, 1,000 mahapadma, 100 kharva, 100 samudra, 100 maha-ogha. You understood how many? Anyone can say how many zeros? You'll get 1 night free stay in GV. I'm confident nobody can figure out. This was the size of Lord Ram's, Sugriva's army in seva of Lord Ram. So therefore, leadership means one has to have ideas to create change. One has to have ability to collaborate relationships. And one has to have the ability of being adventurous, to take risks, to take action, to be curious and to be courageous. So here was Sugriva with these leadership qualities, and Lord Ram empowered him. He had the idea, he had the ability to forge relationships and collaborate, and he had the risk-taking, adventurous ability. The 12th quality we have to transform ourselves from is invading the enemies in all directions. Sarvatah pratyutthanam. One should not attack everywhere. Don't distract your attention in a million different directions. And the example is when Hanumanji goes to search for Sita, he's focused. He's only searching for Sita. He is surrounded by all the pleasures of Lanka. And there is detailed description. And Valmiki Rishi goes out of his way to explain too many details of all the pleasures which the demons are experiencing in Lanka, specifically to also highlight how Hanumanji is glorious, that he was not distracted at all. And therefore he was focused, and he was only searching for Sita. And when he sees Sita, he is totally convinced that this is Sita. And then ultimately, he gives an offer to Sita. Why don't you sit on my back and I jump back and then you are with Ram again? Good proposal? Practical? Anybody in Kali Yuga will say, excellent. Sita should have taken it. Sita said, no, I cannot. Why? Because I'm afraid that I will fall from the top. I don't want to touch a Parapurush like you. Hanumanji says, hey, come on, I'm all powerful, see my size, and I'm your son. And Samudra is your father only. So what is your problem? Sita says, no, the real problem is my husband Ram has come into this world to demonstrate to people that there will be problems which they can solve and difficulties they can manage. But they will also experience two other situations in life called crisis and calamity. Crisis and calamity can neither be managed nor solved. Therefore, I have been put in this crisis and calamity to demonstrate that when you are in crisis and calamity, your intelligence, your plan making, your decision making, everything will fail. Your economic power, your social power, your other kinds of networking power, all of those powers will fail. The only power which will be at your disposal is your ability to take shelter of the Supreme Lord Ram. And that's what I want to demonstrate. How to helplessly take his shelter and chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Sundari Raghunathasya Surastri Dukkha Shantaye Dashananasya Bhavane Dashamasānuvāsasa. She says, I will escape. But what about the other women who have been kidnapped? Unless Ram comes here, they cannot be liberated. I cannot be selfish. Therefore, let me wait for Lord Ram. So therefore, Hanumanji's mission was very focused and he was not distracted in multiple directions. 13th is lack of appreciation of righteous people. Disrespect to righteous people. Ravana was cursed 18 times by Rambha, by Vedavati, by the Vedic Brahmanas, by Nandi, by Vasishta Rishi, by Ashtavakra Muni, who said, because Ravana kicked Ashtavakra Muni and said, "Oh handsome fellow, I will cure your hunch." Ashtavakra Muni said, just like you kicked me, one day a monkey will kick you. And that's what happened when Angada looked at Ravana. He became so angry. The army was going, but Angada became overwhelmed. He jumped before everybody. And as Ram is seeing, he saw Angada disappear. And Angada lands on Ravana, kicks him on his head, passes urine on his head, jumps back to Ram and tells him what he did. Ram said, "Chi, chi, chi, hey. Why did you do like that? Pass urine and all." Angada said, "We are monkeys, we are allowed to do." Then Dattadeva cursed him, Dvaipayana cursed him, Mandavya Muni cursed him, Atri Rishi cursed him, Narad Muni cursed him, Rituvarman cursed him, Maudgalya Rishi cursed him, the Brahmana girls cursed him, Agni and Swaha. Agni cursed him, King Anaranya cursed him, Brihaspati cursed him, Brahmadev cursed him. Each one has lot of details. But the bottom line was, Ravana was either molesting somebody, trying to rape them, or insult them and attack them. Disrespect. So therefore, this is the 13th principle we must overcome, which is Adarshanam Jnanavatam, lack of appreciation of righteous people. Invading enemies is Sarvatah Pratyutthanam. And then the last anartha or fault or sin is respecting wicked people and taking them as advisors. And this is what Ravana did. He had advisors like Nikumbha, Varahanu, Rabhasa, Surya Shatru, Saptagna, Yagyagopa, Mahaparshva, Mahodara, all of these people. And Vibhishana was totally against them. And Ravana thought Vibhishana is my enemy. And so ultimately, Vibhishana, he rejected Ravana and he comes and takes shelter of Lord Ram. Sarvaloka Sharanyaya Raghavaya Mahatmane Nivedayatamam Kshipram Vibhishanam Upastitam. My dear Lord, please give me shelter at your lotus feet. Thus says Vibhishana. Therefore, one needs to have the right kind of guidance and the right kind of shelter. One of Srila Prabhupada's disciples was putting stamps on envelopes. He was using his saliva. Prabhupada said, hey, don't use saliva. Use water in a bowl. So he started using water in a bowl. Prabhupada left. And he finished most of the stamps. Only one stamp was remaining. And water in the bowl was over. So he was thinking, who will go and get water again? Only one stamp. And I have my old style. And nobody's around. He looked left, he looked right. Nobody was there. He stuck out his tongue, put the stamp on the tongue. The door opened and Prabhupada was standing there. And Prabhupada said, I told you not to do this. He said, I never knew you were going to manifest suddenly. And Srila Prabhupada said, to change habits is extremely difficult. It can only happen by consistent association, by philosophical contemplation, by practicing connection, by purifying the various cultivation of desires, prioritizing your consumption, and your proclivities should be to control your habits. And only then one can transform oneself completely. Therefore, these 14 anarthas, as described here in Ramayana by Lord Ram to Bharata, need to be overcome and conquered. And therefore, all of us have an opportunity here, by the grace of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, to be in satsang of devotees. This evening, any of you could have been in any party. But you decided that we will not go to any other party. We will come to the ISKCON temple in Chowpatty and attend Prerana so that we can hear the glories of Lord Ram and conquer the Ravana within. This was the best decision you could have made. So, when you are hearing lecture, every point makes sense. And you also feel, yes. Jap karna hai. To be absorbed, yes. No distraction, yes. not to be conquered by smartphone. Yes. To control the sex desire, to control this desire, control that. Yes, yes, yes. बस बदल के निकलूंगा. When you go back to your place, your other friend will say, "Chale movie, chale." Should we go to the bar? Okay, good idea. So you will become influenced by the association. So therefore, make sure you choose your association wisely, and that's the reason why IYS is striving, working hard with all the preachers for so many years to make sure that they facilitate the right kind of association for each one of you so that you can transform. And when you are transformed, you have the ability to transform this world and create positivity in an entire ecosystem of negativity which is filled in Kali Yuga. So we should be grateful to His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada and to His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj for giving us such a wonderful facility to inspire the youth in Krishna consciousness. You may be helpless, but never become hopeless. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, thank you Prabhuji for enlightening us on this wonderful topic of how to overcome Ravana within. So, Prabhuji gave very valuable lessons and sutras, how to be Vijay in this world. Unless we have Vivek, Vairagya and Vinay, the real Vijay is not possible. And wonderful understanding about what is spiritual knowledge and material knowledge. Spiritual knowledge helps you to develop character, where material knowledge helps you to develop competence. Spiritual knowledge helps you to purify will. Material knowledge gives us skills. And thank you, Prabhuji, for inspiring us, for not chasing our status, but chasing our character. So we are very grateful to Prabhuji for giving us such a wonderful sutras. Let us express our gratitude by loudly chanting Hari Bol! So before we have a question answer and kirtan, a dancing kirtan, there are few announcements. First of all, we would like to welcome our guests who have taken out their time and spending here with us. So we are really grateful to all of you to come here and spend your time. Next, we would like to welcome all the newcomers who have come for first time in this Prerana festival. I request them to stand or rise at your place. First time newcomers. Please stand, please stand. Don't feel shy. So we are very grateful to all of you for joining today evening in this Prerana festival. Would like to welcome all of you and would like to inform that for you there is a special gift awaiting in Bhakti Vedanta Hall where your prasadam will be turned. So let us welcome all these first wonderful devotees by loudly chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So you can collect those gifts from Bhakti Vedanta Hall. Kindly be seated. So today's Prerana services are done by the group of devotees guided by Achyutanand Prabhu, Shrikant Krishna Prabhu and Brajesh Krishna Prabhu. So let us give them a big Hari Bol and cheering. Hari Bol. Hari Bol. So for those who are newcomers coming first time, for them we are conducting 6-session course which is known as Discover Yourself, which has already begun from today. But if you would like, you can register and take part in these discourses. Next, IYS camp which will be conducting on 23rd and 24th November, and this camp will be in Pune, NBCC. So you can contact your counselors and get registered for this IYS camp. Next, 213th Prerana Festival will be on 30th of November by His Grace Sridama Sakha Prabhu. Okay, so as in the beginning I told you that Gauranga Prabhu has authored 3 books. Here, Art of Focus, The Art of Habits, and The Art of Resilience. These books are available downstairs in the courtyard and with the special discount today, so you can take advantage of this offer. And before we end, we would like to invite questions. If those who have questions, kindly raise their hand. So Mike will come to you.
Any questions?
Any question? Yes, you.
Mike, did you?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, who is Gura who had taken the arrow to Lakshmana? Who is King Gura? Guha, sorry.
Guha.
Sorry.
Guha was the chief of the tribal community in the forest. Nishad Raj Guha. Yeah.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम। मेरा प्रश्न ये है कि भगवान ने इस सृष्टि की रचना की ही क्यों? इसके पीछे का क्या कारण था? हम सृष्टि में आ गए और इतना दुख है, तो मतलब इसके पीछे का क्या कारण है?
आप तो मुस्कुराते हुए पूछ रहे, लेकिन मनोरंजन के लिए पूछ रहे हैं क्या? आप तो सुखी लग रहे बहुत। प्रभुपाद जी को भी एक रिपोर्टर ने पूछा, स्वामी जी इतना संसार का निर्माण क्यों हुआ? प्रभुपाद जी ने कहा, भोग के लिए। रिपोर्टर खुश हो गया, मुस्कुराने लगा। प्रभुपाद ने कहा, तुम्हारे नहीं, कृष्ण के भोग के लिए। तो जब आग में हाथ डालते हैं दर्द होता है। अब वो दर्द अच्छा है कि बुरा है? बुरा है। दर्द नहीं होगा तो हाथ पिघल जाएगा। दर्द होता है तो अपन क्या करते हैं? खींच लेते हैं ना बाहर। तो दर्द के कारण तो अपनी उंगली बचती है। तो वैसे ही जब दर्द होता है संसार में, ये संकेत है कि मुझे कहीं और निकलना है, यहां नहीं जलना है। अगला प्रश्न पूछिए भाई, नेक्स्ट। Yeah, you can ask loudly. What you understood, you tell me that.
No, Prabhuji, actually, you told those 4th and 5th point together, so I couldn't understand the 4th.
Yes. So, basically it means not executing the decisions made and wasting time in arguments. So if you make a decision, you have to execute it. If you don't execute, you are just procrastinating, going on and on. Nothing will happen. Prabhupada's disciples were in Australia. They were doing kirtan and they were caught by police and put in jail. They wrote to Prabhupada. Now they are asking few $1,000 for bail. Prabhupada said, no bail. Do Harinam Sankirtan in jail. They immediately followed. They didn't argue back and forth. Hare ye kya bol diya ye wo. They put loud kirtan in jail. By seeing that, all other prisoners also started doing kirtan. Then the jail guards also doing kirtan. Everybody was doing kirtan. So one day one jailer entered and one of the guards looked at the jailer and said, Hari bol. Jailer thought, Hare Baba, my guard is doing like this, what is going on? He did detailed investigation, found this kirtan going on. He called the devotees and we are releasing you. But the devotees, they didn't want to go because they were having better preaching inside. So they said, sir, we have not paid bail amount. We are not eligible to be released. The jailer said, you guys are more dangerous inside the jail than outside. So sometimes we wait for the perfect time to begin something, for the perfect moment, for all the stars to align. Then I will do. No. Once you make a decision, you come here, you're doing satsang, you want to change your life, I start chanting today. Make a decision. If you're chanting 4 rounds, chant 8 rounds. If you're chanting 8 rounds, chant 16 rounds. If you chant 16 rounds, continue chanting. Make a decision and move on. Okay?
Prabhuji, if I could
One
ask.
last question behind. Yeah. You can ask afterwards. Me too.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for the wonderful class. My
Thank
question
you.
is, what is the meaning of Vinay?
Vinay means humility.
And what is the last aprada you said?
Last is to be under bad advisors.
Okay. Can you repeat the Sanskrit part of it?
Yes. The Sanskrit part is referred to as Arthanam Anarthagyascha Mantranam. Arthanam Anarthagyascha Mantranam.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, bad advice means you are under the influence of something negative. Like that. Okay. So, we will do. क्या हो गया? एक और है
Okay.
क्या?
Okay, then thank you, Prabhuji, for this wonderful question answer.
Let's do
So,
kirtan.
yeah. I would request everyone to get stand up and take part in the kirtan. Hare Krishna.